A very good morning to all the students of class ninth. And students, we were doing the second chapter of your geography book, and the name of the chapter is Physical Features of India. And in this particular chapter we have already finished 6 parts, and in those 6 parts we have completed almost all the important topics, including major physiographic divisions of India like Himalayas we have discussed in detail. Then we have studied about northern plains, and later we had discussed in the last video about peninsular plateau. Okay, so today in this part 7, in this lecture we are going to discuss about the Indian desert as one of the another important physiographic division of India, coastal plains and the islands. So we will be discussing about 3 things: the Indian desert, the coastal plains of India, and the 2 major islands groups of India. So these 3 topics we are going to cover in this lecture, because very short content is given in regards to these particular 3 topics. So we will cover this in this particular lecture. But before I move forward, let me show you on the map which are the locations relating to Indian desert and coastal plains and islands in the map, so that you will be able to relate the topics later on. So as you can see in this particular map, okay, we have different reliefs and landforms, type of landforms and physiographic divisions of India. We have covered this part, that is the part of Himalayas, we have covered in detail. Then we have seen this part, northern plains. This part of India is also completed, and in the last video we had completed peninsular plateau. This part complete, this part up to here. This was divided into 2 parts, Central Highlands and the Deccan Plateau. So this central part has been completed. Now what we have to study today, as I have told you, we have to study about the Indian desert. So Great Indian Desert, which is called the Thar Desert. We have to study about this particular region. This is western to Aravalli range. You can see this Aravalli range. Western to Aravalli range is a Great Indian Desert, which we call as the Thar Desert. So we have to study about this physiographic division of India. Then we'll move to the coastal plains. Now as you saw, we had read about the western Ghats, and we have read about the eastern Ghats. Now there is a narrow strip left between these western Ghats and to this Arabian Sea. So this plain area is called the coastal plains, and although this is a very narrow strip, this is broader as compared to the western coastal plains. So this we'll study later on, but we have to study this coastal area and this eastern coastal area, coastal plains. Okay, after this we have completed almost all the physiographic divisions of the Indian mainland. But now after that, 2 things are left, that is the islands. So when it comes to the island, you can see these are the group of islands like Lakshadweep Islands. We'll study about these are the coral islands. We'll understand what do we understand by coral reefs. Okay, and also we'll study about this another group of islands, Andaman and Nicobar Island. Okay, we'll study about these group of islands also. So although they are not connected to the mainland of India, Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar islands, but they are the part of India. When we include the boundaries, or we calculate the total area of India, we include the areas of Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar Island also. So when you will be reading the further topics which we are going to discuss today, please check the details from this particular map. So now starting with the first part, that is the Indian desert. In the map location I have shown you, western to the Aravalli range. The Indian desert lies toward the western margin of Aravalli Hills. I will show you in the map. This was the Aravalli Hill, this arc shape. Okay, and western part of this was a part of western of the Indian desert. Okay, it is an undulating sandy plain covered with sand dunes. Now it is said it is an undulating sandy plain. It means this desert is not like plain. You will find this shape of the sand. Okay, so this is called an undulating sandy plains covered with sand dunes. These are called sand dunes. This region receives very low rainfall. Of course, this is a desert, the land is very dry. The reason being the rainfall is very less, that is 150 mm per year, and it is an arid climate. This arid climate means, if you will see the structure of the plantation, or if you see the land, the sand or the soil, it is very dry in nature. Okay, very rocky, very rough. That is why we call it arid climate with low vegetation cover, since the water is very less. Okay, so you'll find very less vegetation there. Streams appear during the rainy season. So you will see certain streams, water streams there, but they will be seen only in the rainy season. It means they are not perennial, they don't flow throughout the year, only in the seasonal, they are seasonal streams. Soon after they disappear. As soon as rainy season is over, these streams disappear into the sand. Even it means these streams do not drain their water to the Arabian Sea or to the west of Bengal or to any other river. In fact, the land is so dry, the land and the sand seeps all the water itself. It does not drain its water to the Arabian Sea. So that is why it's written, a stream appeared soon after they disappear into the sand, as they do not have enough water to reach the sea. And you have to remember, this can be a 1 mark question. Luni is the only large river in this region. If there will be a question, tell me, give the name of the river which is a part of this Indian desert, you will have to write Luni river. This is the only one large river there. Okay, so this picture you can see is of the same Indian desert. Moving forward, another one of the important feature of Indian desert is barchans. Okay, so you have to know, what do you understand of barchan? Crescent shaped dunes cover large area, but longitudinal dune becomes more prominent near the Indo-Pakistan boundary. If you visit Jaisalmer, you may go to see a group of barchans. Barchans are of this shape. Okay, when the wind comes from this side, it deposits all the sands on the boundary of this particular structure, and this shape is formed, and this shape is only called barchans. Okay, and this continues. So this shape, the wind blow with the velocity and with the speed of winds, when the sand is blown away and deposited to the edge of this structure, this forms the barchans. This is called barchan, and mostly you will find this type of structure on the Indo-Pakistan border. And mainly if you visit Jaisalmer, you will be able to see these structures of Indian deserts. So do not be confused if a question comes, what do you understand barchans? So you will say barchans are the crescent, this is crescent shaped dunes which cover large area of longitudinal dunes, become more prominent. They can be more seen in the area near to the Indo-Pak border, and especially in the region of Jaisalmer. If you visit that place, you can see this structure. Now moving to the next physiographic division of India, the coastal plains. So in the map I have shown you what are the coastal plains. Okay, very close to the eastern and the western Ghats, which we have studied, is a plain area which is called the coastal plains. So the peninsular plateau is flanked by a stretch of narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea on the west and Bay of Bengal on the east. Let me show you that. Okay, so when we talked about the Western Ghats and the Eastern Ghats, so you can see these Western Ghats are very close to the boundary of India's boundary. Okay, very close to the Arabian Sea. Although if you see the distance of the Eastern Ghats, it is very wider. The land here is wider, so the coastal plains found in Eastern Ghats are broader as compared to the Western, because in Western Ghats this is a very narrow strip of coastal plains. So we are going to study these strips of plains in the found in the north after the Western Ghats, and these coastal plains which are found after Eastern Ghats. So but the difference will be, these are very narrow and very short coastal plains, and these are broader as compared to this western side of the coast. One more thing, which characteristic which we have to study about these coastal plains, as we have seen the divisions of Himalayas when we move from east to west, we have seen the division of northern plains when we move from west to east. Okay, so these are the various classifications and division. In the same way, these coastal plains have also been classified and divided. Like this region from Mumbai to Goa, this part is called Konkan coastal plains. Then this middle part, which is a part of Karnataka, this is called Kannad plains, coastal plains. And this area beyond till Kerala, this is called Malabar coast. You can see it's written here. It means the western coastal plain is divided into three parts. Okay, the Konkan, Kannad and the Malabar coast. But you will see the eastern coastal plains, these are divided into two parts. From this point till here, it is called Coromandel coast. It's written here. And above this part, it is called Northern Chichar. Till here, it is called Northern Chichar, and bottom to this, it is called Coromandel coast. So same thing I am going to discuss, so you must know all this. So I've explained you in the map, so it will be easy for you to understand now. The peninsular plateau is flanked by a stretch of narrow coastal strips running along the Arabian Sea in the west and the Bay of Bengal in the east. The western coast sandwich. So if you will see the western coast, it is like a sandwich between Western Ghat and the Arabian Sea. It means one side is Western Ghats, other side is Arabian Sea, and between Western Ghats and Arabian Sea, the plain area is called the coastal plains, western coastal plains. Okay, it consists of three sections. So if we talk about the western coastal plain, you will find three sections. As I have told you, the northern part of the coast is called Konkan. If you move from Mumbai to Goa, this coastal plain is called Konkan. Then the central stretch, the central part is called the Kannad plains, which is a part of Karnataka, while the southern stretch, the last southern part of the coastal plain, it is called Malabar coast, as I have shown you in the map. The plains along the moving towards the eastern coastal plain, the plain along the Bay of Bengal, you will find the plain which is along the Bay of Bengal are wide and level. They are wide, as I have shown in the map. In the northern part, it is river. The northern part of this coastal plain is called the northern Chichar, while the southern part of this coastal part is called the Coromandel coast. Large river like Mahanadi, Godavari, Krishna, Kaveri have formed extensive delta on this coast. So if you will see and you will talk about the eastern coast of India, so these eastern plains or the coastal plains, as the rivers are flowing through these coastal plains, they form deltas before they deposit and drain their water to the Bay of Bengal. Before that, they are divided into various channels which are called distributaries, and they form a delta. It's like a finger, it's like a hand. Like our hand is like finger are divided into various channels. In the same way, river is divided into various channels, and that is called delta. This is a triangular in shape. Lake Chilka is an important feature along the eastern coast. So Lake Chilka is one of the important feature. Why? Because this Lake Chilka is the largest salt lake. So there can be a one mark question, which is the largest salt lake of India. So you will have to write Chilka Lake. Okay, and this lies in the state of Odisha. This is in the state of Odisha to the south of Mahanadi. So its location is in the south of Mahanadi Delta. So with this we come to the end of the coastal plains. Now let's read the islands. You have, this is another physiographic division of India. Desert we have completed, coastal plains we have completed. Now islands, and the location of islands, you know there are two groups of islands, Lakshadweep and Andaman and Nicobar. So we have to study about them and their location. So you have already seen in that India has a vast mainland. India has a vast mainland which we have seen. Besides this, the country has also two group of islands which are not directly connected with our mainland, but still they are a part of India. You can identify these island groups. Okay. Here. Locate the Lakshadweep island group lying close to Malabar coast. You can see the Malabar coast line, as we have discussed, very close to Kerala. This group of island is composed of small coral islands. So when we will talk about Lakshadweep islands, so what is the structure of these islands? They are formed by the coral islands, by the corals. So what do we understand by corals? That we'll understand further in this topic, where a small column box is given. We'll study about corals, but for the time being you need to understand and remember that these Lakshadweep group or group of islands are formed by the corals. So they are called the coral islands. Earlier they were known as, but before they were not known by the name as Lakshadweep, they were known as Laccadive, Minicoy and Emin-Div. So these were the three older names, but after 1973, so there can be a one mark question again. Okay, so its name that we know it today as Lakshadweep, it was called by this name in 1973. So in 1973 these were named as Lakshadweep. It covers a small area of 32 square kilometers. So this island Lakshadweep, this covers an area of 32 square kilometer. Kavarati Island is the administrative headquarters. Administrative headquarters, like in our states we have the capitals. In the same way, this is a union territory. Lakshadweep is also a union territory, and Karavati is its administrative headquarters, like we have our capital. Okay, This island group has great diversity of flora and fauna. So you'll find various type of flora and fauna. And the Piti Island, which is uninhabited, has a bird sanctuary. And this island, Piti Island, this is not habited by the humans, but this is declared as the bird sanctuary. Okay, where various type of birds you can see which migrate from seasons to season from one place to another, and they are being protected there. Okay, so this is called bird sanctuary, Piti Island. So you have to remember so many things from the point of view of the 1 mark questions. Now let's understand what do we understand by corals and why we say that Lakshadweep Islands are a small coral islands. So coral polyps are short-lived microscopic organisms. So in the water we find microscopic organisms. Okay, they live in colonies. It means those microscopic organisms, they live in a colony. They live together in groups. They flourish so they will flourish and they will develop more in shallow water, mud-free water, and warm water. So this condition is available to these corals in the area of Lakshadweep or in the Arabian Sea. You can see the water is shallow, it is mud free, and it is warm. They secrete calcium carbonate. Now the important thing is these small microscopic organisms, which we call them as corals, they secrete calcium carbonate. Okay, and the coral secretion and their skeleton. So because of this secretion, the calcium which solidifies, it becomes like a solid. They keep secreting that, and the dead corals which they also stick with those calcium and they form the islands. So they are continuous deposition of these corals and they solidify, and this solidified skeleton and the calcium carbonate forms the coral deposits in the form of reef, and this deposit we call these as reef. There are main 3 kinds of barrier reefs: fringing reefs and atolls. These names, barrier reef, fringing reef, and atolls, are the names given because of the shape which is formed by those deposits. Like at a place there are coral deposits, but according to the shape the name will be given to that particular coral deposits. Okay, like the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, it is called a Great Barrier Reef because of its shape. Okay, atolls are a circular or a heart shape. If there will be a, we can say, deposition of coral reefs, and if it takes the shape of the circular shape or the horseshoe coral reef, so it is called atolls. So on the basis of the structure, the name are given to the coral reefs. So because of these corals, these Lakshadweep islands have been formed or established. Now moving to the next set of islands. Now you can see elongated chain of islands located in Bay of Bengal, extending from north to south. They are Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Very simply it is written, they are bigger in size. If we compare it with the Lakshadweep Islands, they are bigger in size and more numerous and scattered. More number of islands and they are scattered. Okay, that is why we call them group of islands. The entire group of land is divided into 2 broad categories. So entire land we have divided into 2 broad categories. One on the north is called the Andaman in the north, and the southern part is called the Nicobar Islands. It is believed that these islands are an elevated portion of submarine mountains. It is believed that underwater there are mountains which are now submerged because of this Bay of Bengal and the ocean, and the elevated part is of the top point of those elevated mountains. These island groups are of great strategic importance, as here also we find a lot of diversity in terms of flora and fauna in this group. These islands lie close to equator, and if you will see the location in the map or the world map or on the globe, you will find the location of these islands is very close to equator. Equator is at 0 degree, and just above that is the location of Andaman and Nicobar, or we can say the southern tip of India. So that is why the temperature here at Andaman and Nicobar Islands is a equatorial type of climate. It's written here, these islands lie close to the equator and experience equatorial climate and has a thick forest cover, and also you'll find a thick forest cover in this region. So now with that we have completed the chapter physical features of India, and we have seen all the major physiographic divisions in detail. But now at the last they have given a conclusion which is very important, and there can be a question from this part especially. As you can see, a detailed account of different physiographic units highlights a unique feature of each region. as we have understood the physiographic divisions like mountains, northern plains, peninsular plateau, coast, desert. So it means especially we have understood and we have seen the various important characteristics which make each physiographic division unique from each other. It means desert have its own importance, own characteristics. Northern plains have their own importance, own value. In the same way, these islands have their own strategic importance. In the same way, Himalayas have the very great role to play. So all the various physiographic divisions have their own unique features that we have understood in this chapter. It means we can differentiate each landform from the other one. It would, however, be clear that each region complements the other and makes the country richer in its natural resources. And because of this uniqueness and different sorts of landforms which are available in India, as I told, we are blessed to have so many types of landforms, and which this adds a lot of importance and value to our natural resources. It means we find various type of natural resources in India because of the different landforms. The mountains, for example, they have seen, if we talk about natural resources, the mountains, what we get from mountains are the major source of water and river. We get water and river from the mountains, and because of these flowing rivers and mountains and rich forest resources, we get these northern plains, as rivers deposit alluvial soil here in the northern plains, and because of those alluvial soil and soil which is good for agriculture, we have granaries of the country. We call these northern plains as the granaries of the country because all the conditions are fulfilled which are required for good agricultures, like soil, water, temperature, climate, everything. The plateau is a storehouse. If we talk about plateau is a storehouse of minerals. We find all the important minerals in the plateaus which have played a crucial role in the industry. So when we talk about the industrialization of the country, so most of the states are from the plateau region. Okay, so now moving forward, now coastal region and island groups provide site of fishing. So if we talk about coastal region and islands, they give us the site for fishing and port activities. Thus the diverse physical features of the land have immense future possibilities for development. So all these different physiographic divisions of India have the immense potential so that we can have a very good development and growth of our country. So as I said, it is a blessing for India and for us as we are a citizen of India that we are able to see all the various landforms and various physiographic divisions within the same country, within the same territory. With this, we have finished the chapter of geography, chapter number 2. And in the next video, we shall be starting the chapter number 1 of your history book. And I shall be giving you the questions, and also you have to do your NCERT exercise. I shall be assigning you that. Thank you so much and take care. So in the homework, I have given you some value-based question, and this is one of the value-based question. I have given you questions, but those are directly from your book. You will be able to answer them. Okay, like coastal, relating to coastal plains, relating to deserts. Okay, relating to islands, Andaman Nicobar Islands or Lakshadweep, are about coral reefs. So everything content you will easily find in your book. But this is the answer which you need to think properly. This is a value-based question. Like they have said, each physiographic region of India complements to other and makes the country richer in its natural resources. Now, each physiographic region, it means we have heard of how many physiographic divisions of India. We have heard about mountains, we have heard about plateaus, coastal regions, deserts, islands. So it means we have to compare the physiographic regions of India and why they are so unique. Okay, why they are so different from each other, why they are so helpful to us. Okay, to explain the statement with 4 examples. So the northern plains are among the most fertile agriculture areas in the world. So it means here we are discussing the unique feature of northern plains, why they are unique and why they are so beneficial for us. So northern plains, they are the fertile agriculture areas of the world, and reason we know, as from the mountain regions, from the Himalayas, the rivers bring lot of alluvial soil which is very fertile and for agriculture, and all the rivers are there, so water is also available, and climate is also favorable for agriculture. So due to fertile soil, abundant water supply of these plains, the most important producers of agriculture products beside food grains, these plains also are also a source of industrial raw materials like jute, cotton and sugarcane. So this is the important northern plains. Then they have discussed about peninsular plateau, why this is unique and why this is increasing the richness of our natural resources. Peninsular plateau is important for mineral resources. It has large reserves of minerals such as coal, iron ore. All these locations where we find various type of different minerals are the part of peninsular plateau. The plateau region also produces many crops such as oil seeds, pulses, millets are also produced here. Talking about the most important one according to me is the mountains of north. If we talk about the mountains of north, it means about the Himalayan range, how they were formed, you know that. In the past, protected India from invasion. First of all, these mountains have always protected. It has provided a natural security protection to India from the invasion from outside, from the north region. Okay. Next, the mountain region in north are important due to their climate role also. These mountains play a pivotal role in the causing rain in the northern plains by obstructing the monsoon. Now these mountains are also playing an important role which leads to the rain in the northern plains where we have a good agricultural land. Okay. In the absence of these barriers, much of the northern India would have been a desert. If there was no range of Himalayan range, so this area of northern plain, it would have been like a desert. But because of this range of Himalayas, there is lot of rain and monsoon, because these monsoon winds are obstructed by the height of these mountains. This region is important for large forests and water. So these are some of the important characteristics we have discussed separately of the important physiographic regions of India, and that is why we say these complement to other and makes our country richer in its natural resources. With this we come to the end of this lecture, and in the next video we'll move forward. Thank you and take care.